Hajime Isayama is a Japanese native born in 1986. He is responsible for Attack on Titan. Today, we'll dive into everything you need to know about the production of Attack on Titan. Isayama was born in Hita, Oita, Japan. Throughout his early years, he was seen frequently drawing and gave off traits of a creative individual. Once he hit his teen years, he began to get into anime and video games more than ever. His childhood friends were getting together and dating, which Isayama was not a fan of. He also didn't vibe with the whole rah-rah school spirit mindset. He decided to keep to himself and do what he wanted. He had watched more and more anime and read more manga through his early years, as well as playing more video games. Being by yourself will lead to many crazy ideas. He had tons of inspirations leading to the manga's inception. The one that sparked it all was a game called Muv Love Alternative. It's a game released in 2003 for Windows in which aliens take over the Earth and everyone dies. Besides this, Isayama worked a part-time job at an internet cafe before Attack on Titan. He had a negative interaction with a drunk customer and was bewildered at the lack of communication from something of his same species, and he realized the scariest creature in the world is the human. Thusly, Isayama decided to write the beginning of a manga. He created a 65-page one-shot, and I don't exactly know when he started writing, but I'd guess between 2003 and 2005. Isayama's plan with his new story was to publish it and make enough money to feed himself. He knew making a living from manga was very hard. Once he finished his work, he decided to present it to Weekly Shonen Jump at 19 years old. They promptly declined Isayama's offer. They stated that Isayama's work was too dark to be published under them. They requested for him to redo his manga to be less graphic, and of course Isayama declined. He immediately went to a smaller department called Weekly Shonen Magazine. He talked with editors and they told him, quote, "We wish to serialize it monthly at the Weekly Shonen Magazine office," end quote. His response was a dumbfounded, "Eh?" Many editors outside the office stated that Isayama's work was very rough, which he agreed it was. In recent interviews, Isayama has stated that he's come to feel worse and worse about his art as he gradually notices how awkward it looks. He says it's good to have memorable art, even memorably bad art, but nonetheless, Shingeki no Kyojin was born. It was an idea, a very rough idea, but it got accepted for a reason. The initial Attack on Titan was very different than the one we know and love today. Isayama had his little town surrounded by large trees, which was inspired by his hometown's mountains. He had always felt trapped between the mountains, and thus the idea of being, quote, surrounded by trees was born. Later he decides that he needed to create something more substantial and something that would actually protect the citizens, thus the walls were born. From 2006 to 2009, Isayama went through many phases with his manga before it was serialized. He even created two other similar ones called Heartbreak 1 and Oars respectively, but his editor told him to stick with Shingeki no Kyojin. Even though his other two works were discarded, they still entered for the 80th Weekly Shonen Magazine Freshman Manga Award, where Heartbreak 1 received the Special Encouragement Award. Oars won the Weekly Shonen Magazine Newcomer Prize the following year, and was stated to have, quote, the worst art in the award's history. Ouch. In this 2006 to 2009 timeframe, Isayama moved away from Hita Oita and went to Tokyo. He took a lot of this time to create his manga. He storyboarded for 6 months straight without writing anything. And finally, after years and years, Attack on Titan started serialization in Japan, September 9th of 2009. It was published in Bisatsu Shonen Magazine. The initial response was very positive. The Attack on Titan Tankobon was published and released in March of 2010 in Japan. It amassed millions of sales and had obtained the Kodansha Manga Award in 2011 in the shonen category. The manga was published in English June 19th of 2012 and sales were still very high. But then the anime adaptation came out and the floodgates broke loose. Initially, Attack on Titan was proposed to be made into an anime in 2011 by George Wada and Tetsuya Nakatake of Production IG. They decided to create an entirely new studio for this show, hoping to amass a large fanbase and following to Attack on Titan and the new WIT studio. They basically wanted to create a show larger than life for the sole purpose of creating a massively hype show. Production IG had been working with Tetsuo Araki since before Attack on Titan, a very large figure in the anime directing world. He had rose to fame very quickly, almost like he had a gift for this sort of thing. So after Wada and Nakatake proposed this idea to IG's president, he quickly approved. Not only did he approve, but he made the studio part of IG and promised to give them complete creative freedom as a studio. And after all the blood, sweat, and tears, Attack on Titan, the anime, was created. And you all know how well that did. The year the anime came out, the manga sold over 15 million copies. The previous year saw 2.7 million copies sold. Success is an understatement for Hajime Isayama, and here he said he just wanted to pay for food. The anime adaptation's first season ran from April 2013 to late September, approximately 5.5 months. Hajime Isayama wasn't just sitting around during this time either. He had made some major improvements to how he's going about creating his manga. He had told several interviewers that after the anime came out, it inspired him to create changes. He was working on the anime's season 1 quite closely as well. Tetsuo Araki and friends would consult Isayama and ask him questions, pretty frequently too. They wanted to know his vision and what he saw happening in any given particular scene. Isayama stated he told the animation team and producers that he had several gripes with the manga and wished for them to be changed in the anime. The anime is a sort of more polished depiction of what Isayama envisioned, and Wit added many other things to the show with the help of everyone in their small team. When Isayama was originally creating Attack on Titan, he made Eren. He had already had all the bases set and everything he needed, but one thing, and that one thing was Eren. Isayama states that Eren was not a completely natural character. Even though he was the protagonist, Isayama did not exactly know what to do with his character. He stated that, quote, "Eren is a character who I figured out as I went along. When the manga got adapted into an anime, and I got to hear Eren's voice, that helped me flesh him out too. I mean, these titans show up all of a sudden, and he's not only unafraid, but decides to go kill them. That's just not a realistic character. But then while he may say those things, you can hear a weakness in his voice actor's voice, which makes it sound like he's bluffing. I've started to like Eren as a character more and more ever since." End quote. Isayama states the anime's impact on the manga is by no means small. He kept pumping out manga volumes, about 1 per 4 months. Wit Studio was going to drop Attack on Titan completely after season 1, but they made the executive decision to keep seeing it through. The Attack on Titan manga didn't see enough content to create a second season until late 2015, and in 2017, the second season finally came out, with a season 3 part 1 and 2 coming in 2018 and 2019 respectively. There have been many art changes and plot changes through Attack on Titan's history, as well as changes for the ending. Isayama's editor back in 2006 told him he can't publish a manga without an ending in mind. So he decided on an ending way back then, which he changed probably drastically. He admits his original ending was going to result in basically everyone's death, so you can rest assured that not everyone will die. He changed his ending due to Attack on Titan's popularity, which is respectable. Creating an ending before a foundation is nutty. Hajime Isayama has been living comfortably ever since Attack on Titan's success. He has given much feedback through the years on how the anime is doing and answering questions from people worldwide. He said in an interview that Mikasa was the first character he came up with, and he also said, unbeknownst to us, that he made Levi Ackerman a yaoi fangirl character on purpose. He said, quote, "I've got a little bit of yaoi fangirl in me too." Furthermore, Isayama states that a few shifters' physical appearances have been based on real-life martial artists and fighters. I'm always interested in hearing about what his inspirations were. Sometimes inspirations come from these strangest things. Hajime Isayama is the man responsible for Attack on Titan. It's his first ever manga released in Basatsu magazine in 2009. He had many inspirations for his story, from his hometown's mountains to a drunk man outside his workplace and a video game about aliens destroying humanity. Without a doubt, his idea is genius and has a special place in many people's My Anime list. To date, his manga has over 100 million copies in circulation and is coming to a close very, very soon. So what do you think? How weird is it that Isayama created a wall of trees initially for his story? And do you think it's crazy he came up with the idea way back around 2005? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you.